Are you on 7?
Yeah.
Okay, now my only thing is I don't have.
Okay, well, we have.
I'm not out.
Okay, we're
my
getting
email,
ready to
I
get
use
started.
Windows
Yoo-hoo!
5 mail. That's what Mike said.
Okay,
is
that's
better.
what I have too.
Hey everyone,
Okay,
we're
I
gonna
don't know
start.
all the keystrokes for that. That's,
Yeah, I'd like to know what the deal is with New England, them,
I think I'm sure they
Do we have our mic on?
bullshit.
Yeah, it sounds like they're talking on there, but
New England's a good team. They beat them solid. I mean, it's not
Please be quiet. We're
3
getting
points.
started.
They whoop their ass.
is it started yet? Because we have the mic on, but it,
is the
Hey,
mic
can I
on?
ask a question?
I don't think I turned the mic on. Did I turn it?
Okay. Maybe they're talking to somebody else then.
Yeah, after having you call.
Yes.
Okay, Bob, we're starting.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm trying to get the.
I'm Jennifer. I'm a visionary app therapist at Keystone. Can I ask who's all on the video conference right now?
Crawford's on.
oh, whose puppy is that?
Beaver County. That's it.
See it on the screen, Jim?
What was that?
You should be able to see, oh, they just flipped over, never mind.
I think that I put this
Okay.
cursor over here, and that's Richard's. That was Richard's dog.
Oh,
It's our screen. That's Richard's dog.
okay.
What?
Okay.
Yell's in the picture.
Gentlemen, we are on.
Okay.
If you want 'em.
I'm talking about low vision today.
I don't know who's going to pay him.
So it must be.
Mark them on ice and put them in the fun.
At Crawford County. Shoot.
Oh, this one? Maybe.
Jen Lily,
Yes, Monica.
oh, can you see us?
No, I can see myself. Are you?
Okay, never mind, I see you.
Yeah, we can see some of you. Okay,
All right, we're good. Ladies,
you're good?
we're on. Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, I'm a vision rehab therapist at Keystone. I also work in our low vision clinic. So I'm going to talk about the things revolving around low vision, okay? Most people know what low vision is, but in a technical term for the low vision clinic, it's where somebody who is visually impaired is unable to accomplish a visual task after medications, contact lenses with conventional glasses, or surgical avenues. So if you're unable to use conventional glasses, contact lenses, medication to improve your vision, or surgical methods, then that's when you get referred to the low vision clinic. In the low vision clinic, you're going to find a lot of things, but a lot of people ask why you need to have a low vision evaluation. It is important that everyone has a low vision evaluation to ensure that you're getting the appropriate devices without spending a lot of money on what you are trying to accomplish. So, a lot of people ask, what is a low vision exam? A low vision exam is made up of 3 parts. The first part is refraction, which is where they test to see what kind of glasses that you might need, and to ensure that you have the best possible prescription for your vision at that time. That can change from one doctor's appointment to the next. So you have to get it done by the low vision doctor to make sure that it is the appropriate prescription for that time. The next part of the exam is the eye health evaluation. The benefit of doing the eye health evaluation is to make sure that nothing has changed. So the low vision specialist does not take the place of any of your other eye doctors. They just are part of the rehabilitation team. So what they will have to do is check and make sure that everything in your eye is still healthy or the same as it would have been the last time you saw your ophthalmologist. If anything is different, then we would need to hold off on getting you some devices because your vision may change. The third part of the exam is what we call the optical evaluation, which is a systematic way of seeing what type of magnification might be useful for you and how that magnification would work with all of the devices that we have in the clinic. Before the actual evaluation, we do a history, and the history is a very specific history on social, medical, and personal history that allows us to have a goal-driven situation in the clinic. So what you see will depend on what your goals are. Okay, so some of the things I'm going to talk about is some of the things that you might see if you're in the low vision clinic. And this is not so that you can just go out and buy the devices. I'm just explaining to you what's there and what you could possibly be helped with, okay? Now, every clinic's a little different. This is what we have primarily in our clinic, and most clinics are going to have the same sort of things, but every doctor's office is a little different, I would say. So some of the stuff that we have in our clinic is handheld magnifiers that will allow you to have portability. You can have them with and without lights. The stronger the magnifier, the smaller the field of view. So you want to make sure that you have the appropriate magnification, or you might be over magnifying things. There's also stand magnifiers, which are basically the same thing, except for you use your bifocal with these magnifiers. And they actually sit flat down on the page. They also have lights, or they can also not have lights, depending on what kind of eye condition you have. And it allows you to have it straight down on the paper so that you don't move. It's just a fixed focus in it. Okay? The next things are glasses, strong reading lenses, which are what we call microscopes. And microscopes will allow you to basically take a magnifying glass, put it in a pair of glasses, and read. With the magnifying glasses, with the microscopes, I'm sorry, they are based off of magnification by bringing things closer. So if you're able to bring things closer, it makes things appear a little larger. It's just another way of magnifying. With the glasses, the stronger the glasses, the closer you have to be because of the focal point for the lens. And so that's using relative distance magnification, bringing things closer. The next type of magnification you can do is to make the print actually larger. And that's where we get the electronics in. There's all sorts of electronics. There's smaller devices, there's larger devices. A lot of people like the smaller devices because they are portable.
Jen, can you bring that up to the camera? So
I can zoom up, I can't tell what you want.
Oh, it's okay.
You can just press that.
Well, I don't, now I'm really close and I don't like that. Okay. Okay, so this is a portable electronic system that will allow you to read. You can change the contrast. I just took it off the print, sorry. You can take the contrast, you can change the contrast, and you can change the size. So you can make it bigger or smaller. And a lot of times these actually take the place of magnifying glasses because you can change the magnification on them. Whereas with a hand magnifier, you cannot do that. It's one magnification. So you might have 4 magnifiers for different size prints. This will allow you to have one device to magnify all different sizes of print, okay? Another one is this. It's called the Amiga. It's a little larger. It's a little larger, but the screen will actually tilt, allowing you to allowing you to sit up straight just for good posture. You don't really want to always have to be hunched over. This is a really good device for that. The only downfall of this one is that it's a little larger, so it is a little harder to carry around with you.
What's it called again?
It's called the Amigo. Yep. And while we're on the electronics, I'm going to talk about the larger electronics. There are two types of reading machines. There's what they call a CCTV, which is right here. And you can change the contrast and the color. You can actually get your hands underneath it, and you can write underneath it if you wanted to. CCTV is very large. It's bulky. You need a desk to be able to use it because it has to stay in one place.
Yeah.
A lot of people find it more difficult to use the CCTV because it's not
I worked
portable.
with one when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was that? Because
It was, they were different back then. They were a little bit bigger, you know, screen.
Yep. As they have got, the new generations of CCTVs have gotten a little smaller. They don't have the big bulky television screens anymore. They're more flat screen.
Yeah.
And so they are a little lighter than they used to be, but they're still very heavy, and they do take space up. So you need like a desk or a table or something to be able to work at it.
Indeed.
Some people like it because they don't go anywhere and they can just use it for like their bills and things like that. Other people don't like it because of how big it is. The benefit of the CCTV is that it has its own built-in lighting system, just like the portables, but the screen is larger. You can get more information on the screen depending on how much you have to magnify it. The other device over here is called the Acrobat, and it actually will do the same thing as the CCTV, except for the CCTV's camera is underneath the machine. This camera is in front of it, so you can get your hands underneath of it if you wanted to, and be able to do your nails. You can do writing. You can do your check writing, bills, whatever you would like to do. Along with this one, it has the same benefits because it has a larger screen. It's a little smaller. It's a little easier to carry throughout your home, but you still have to have it in your house. You can take it to other people's houses, but you still need the electric plug-in. Another nice thing about this one is that you can actually use it for a lot of personal hygiene things and being able to view in the distance because the camera actually turns and you can look at yourself, or you can look across the room. So it's really beneficial for those sorts of things. A lot of people like this one for doing art. We have a lot of clients who do art canvases. We have a lot of artists, painters, people use it for crocheting and things like that. So that's how. So a lot of people might say, well, what if I don't have enough vision to use this, or what if it's just too much to be able to use these electronics or the magnifiers? There are other things for people to use. And there are sometimes when reading is a goal for somebody, but it's not something that they want to have to work at. They want to be able to do it just because they want to do it. So there's two things that we have suggested for people who would really like to read but don't want to physically read themselves. The first is the digital NLS book player. You can actually get that from Library Services for the Blind. And if you ever needed help, somebody might be able to help you learn the buttons. But it's very easy. You can actually just push a button, and it will tell you what the button is. Okay. And when you put the book in, as soon as you take it out and put it back in, it will still be at the same place. The device next to it is a document reader.
Volume up.
This is a document reader. What you would do is you place the document underneath the cameras, which are right here, and you hit the scan button. And it will analyze the document for you. So if you had a user's manual or directions, it works on the back of boxes for like cooking, the The only thing it really doesn't work on is medicine bottles because they're round, and the round, it just doesn't process very well. Once you do that, you can push play.
Instruction of LCD talking calculator. User information.
And it allows you to
This calculator
have-
runs on 2 AAA battery.
It allows you to have that printed material accessible to the speech, okay? You can save books in here. You can also download books from the internet. Okay? So we don't just typically skip straight to the devices because we have to consider a lot of things when you're in the clinic. We have to consider lighting, contrast, glare, things like that. So Dr. Freeman in our clinic will do a contrast test to see how well you do with contrast. And if your contrast is poor, we may suggest doing more of the electronics because of the contrast loss. But there are other things that we can use, like filters that will enhance contrast and reduce glare, which are just yellow clip-on lenses that we use. These are really helpful for people when they're in like the grocery store or things like that. There are other colors that we do use, just like for glare, everyone's a little different. So we do have a whole kit of different colors, and depending on the eye condition and the person will depend on what color they will actually get and will use effectively. So that's contrast and glare. The next one is lighting. We have tons of lights. We always have to consider lighting because if you're a very active person, the lighting at home is going to be way different than the lighting in the public. So if you go into a restaurant, it might be a lot darker than in your house. So there's portable lights that you can take. There's other lights that you can put on your glasses. So for instance, there is this light that you can actually place on your glasses. And you'll be able to read whatever is on the menu or things like that because they make the restaurants all romantic and dark and nobody can see in them. So we have lights that might be able to help with that.
Jen, can you come in closer so people can see that?
Oh, yeah.
You're putting that on.
the microphone.
This side? So the clip would go on your glasses. And you would be able to read the menus and things in the grocery stores. You would have to get up to whichever was the appropriate distance for your glasses, but you would be able to read in the darker restaurants. And this is a nice thing to be able to take with you. And sometimes all that the person needs is lighting. They don't need something real fancy.
It'll make it good when you go to the grocery store. I know that.
There are tons of lighting options available. There are stand lamps or lamps that would stand on the floor behind you. You want the light projecting over your shoulder and onto the page. There are lights that you can have sitting on the table to help with doing tasks like writing checks and things like that. So there are all different lights. I'm not going to go through every single one of them because it's a light. We all know about lights. Another thing that we might use with the light and with glasses is a reading stand. Our reading stands consist of a piece of wood. My bad. Consists of a reading stand with a clipboard that we insert into a slit that's on it. So we have the stand for people who might have difficulty with holding materials. If they have, shaky hands or their arms might just get tired, they can come to the clipboard instead of bringing the material to them. The benefit is that they don't have to hold it, but the disadvantage is that they do have to get close enough to the clipboard. Okay, so how does this work in our clinic? Why is this something that is important in our agency? In our agency, it's important because a lot of our clients are low vision. The majority of our clients are low vision. So we want to be able to help them be as independent as possible with their low vision equipment. So we can actually go from the clinic into their home because we have rehab therapists who do go into the home. So the low vision clinic is just part of the interdisciplinary team that we have going on here. So somebody comes into the clinic, and then a lot of times this is the entrance into the clinic or into the agency. They have never heard of Keystone before, but they are aware that there's something going on here. So they may get referred to rehab teaching, to O&M, to specialized services, whatever. And the same goes the opposite. Somebody might be getting specialized services and not realize that there's a low vision clinic, so they will get referred to the low vision clinic. A lot of times they will actually get referred to BVS first and then to the clinic. So how we connect the clinic to the rehab teachers in our agency is that once we have all the equipment that we know that they can use in the clinic, we will go into their homes. So if somebody has a magnifying glass or a pair of glasses that they were able to use in the clinic and are now unable to use in their home, we have to understand why they can't use it at home. So just like I said with the restaurants and things like that, the environment changes. When the environment changes, it's a whole new game. So I will go into people's houses and evaluate the environment, whether it might be that they have bad lighting or that they're just having a bad few weeks, or their vision may have changed. So if their vision is not what I think it was when I saw them, I will refer them back to their ophthalmologist. So some of the things that I do as a rehab teacher when I go in to do this evaluation are personal hygiene things, personal bookkeeping, record keeping, and things like that. So some of the things, can I go over this way? That we would use in the clinic and in the home would be things like writing guides for people who like to be able to write letters. There's not a lot of people who write letters anymore, but for those who like to write out cards and letters and stuff, we do recommend those sort of things. Typoscopes, which we use for people to be able to keep their line when they're reading, but they can also be used for a signature guide if they have a really long name. Check writing guides, which I have upside down, to be able to write their own checks. And envelope guides to be able to mail things. And then a typical signature guide, which is just a smaller version of the typoscope. We have 20/20 pens and paper that has high contrast on it, bold lines in different colors, depending on the person and what their needs are. So somebody might think that the white is just too bright for them, so we might go to yellow or pink to see which one will help the best for them.
What's a 20/20 pen?
A 20/20 pen is almost like a Sharpie, except for it won't bleed through the page. So it's thick and dark, just like a Sharpie, but it won't bleed through the page. It's really good on calendars and like the large print paper and things like that, bold line paper, things like that. Those are some of the things in the near that we would do is for writing and reading and things like that. Some of the other things that we would have when we go to do our evaluation in the home is personal care things like making sure that they are able to see their medications. We use higher tech medicine cases, depending on their abilities and what their wants are, and then lower tech. So somebody who has difficulty with remembering or something, we might use a lower tech method to fit their lifestyle, and that's what it's all about, is just fitting what everyone else needs. The nice thing about this is that there are different colors for when you've taken them and when you haven't taken them, so that you remember to make sure you're taking your medicine. Another way, and just because we say low vision in a low vision clinic, it doesn't mean that we do everything just for low vision patients. We do have people who have no vision at all, so we have to consider that when we are working with them. So another system that we have for managing medications or anything in their house is a labeling system called the PenFriend. PenFriend is an audible labeling system, and what you would do is you would record your labels, and then when they were recorded, you will actually just touch the pen to the sticker when it's on, and it will repeat what's on there. Okay. That is really good in the kitchen. You're able to label your food items and medications and things like that, so that you don't have to wait around for somebody to come and tell you, hey, this is your medication, or what the food item is in the kitchen. There are low vision timers along with audible timers, low vision measuring cups, spoons, and tactile ones as well that you could use, and low vision clocks, telephones, and things like that, just for anything that you would need around your house. So we just go and we have a variety of things, and it will depend on the person, will depend on what we might pull out and what we might use when we're doing it. So that is kind of like a very general overview of what's going on, but I did forget one thing, so I'm going to go back to the clinic itself. So I talked about reading and near work, but a lot of people don't just have trouble with reading and writing and near tasks. They have trouble with the distance. So if you have trouble with the distance, what do you use? Like for mobility and things like that. You might use a telescope that's handheld. Sorry, I walked out of the picture. That's handheld, and you would use it to be able to do some spotting activities. There's two ways that you can use the telescope. You can use it so that you can magnify things or minify things. So if you're going to magnify things, you're going to use the original way, and you're going to be able to do some spotting activities like spotting street signs, spotting people around, and then you're going to bring it down. You're not going to walk with it in front of your face all the time. The other way that you can do it is minifying things by reversing the telescope. And what this is for people who have a field loss that might require them to be able to see a little. It will expand their field. So we use it as a field expander along with prisms and things like that. You can have handheld ones, or you could have head-mounted ones. So these would actually be in your glasses, and you would look through the telescope when you needed to see something, and then you would lift your head and look through the bottom part to be able to walk in, because when you have a telescope, it distorts everything. So you wouldn't know in relation to where you are with things. But if you look through the telescope to see what's there and then lift your head, you can actually, it will actually allow you to navigate the environment more safely. We actually have patients using this both with regular telescopes and reverse telescopes. It's very nice, especially for some of the patients who travel a lot. These glasses are telescopes that are for the television, And what you would do, these are shorter distances. And what it does is it makes the television a little larger, and doesn't make it so large that you're unable to see it all. Because the higher the power, the smaller the field of view. So you have to move your head more, and it wouldn't allow you to have very effective television viewing if it was too strong. Okay. Now that I've done all my rambling, does anyone have questions?
Jen?
Yes.
I have a question concerning the scanner.
Uh-huh.
Now, it does come up on the screen with print. Is there enlarging or decreasing?
Yeah, you can actually.
On that as well?
It's made for people with low vision and without vision. So the screen, it does come up on the screen. You can change the contrast on it, and you can change the size on it. So the size gets really large. I think it's about like 4 inches that it is. And so it does get very, very large, depending on the person and what they want to do.
I do have a question, actually. How big a print?
Which glass?
Are the
glasses that I just had. Those are for the distance. Those are for the distance.
You got a question?
I know we talked about it before, but that,
This was over, I'll ask.
printed,
Yeah.
is that the one that you can like scan the barcode and it tells you what it is?
Yes, you place it on different things like your shampoo, your medication, your clothing. And as you get it over label, you record whatever it is you want it to be.
I muted them because they're.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Crawford County does.
Okay, what's up, Crawford County?
Go ahead, Greg.
Go ahead, Greg.
How big is the print on the barcode readers?
What was that?
How big is the print on the barcode readers?
The barcode readers wouldn't have the print. The only thing that has the print that's a reader is the document reader, and the print on the document reader is 4 inches. I'm not sure about the barcode reader. It's just an audible. It's just audible. There's no screen on it to have print.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Jen?
Yes, Jim. Or Joe.
The distance for the contrast, is there set limits for it?
Well, contrast is going to change depending on the environment. So if you have a very bright room with really good contrast items, it's going to be different than if you went to a different room. So when you might be sitting in your eye doctor's office, their chart is black and white. So that's really high contrast. If you go home, you may not feel like you're seeing as well as you saw in the doctor's office, and that's because of all the environment around you, because it's not perfectly contrast. So it just really depends on where you're at. Will depend on how well the contrast is. Does that make sense?
Well, see, I have a lobby that has nice lighting, and the TV has a big screen, but I think that that the contrast on the screen should be adjusted. But maybe it's just me.
Well, how far do you sit away from this television?
Probably 4 to 5 feet.
Okay. Try moving a little closer to the TV and just see how it works. Because
I know that if I move, say within 2 feet of it, it looks totally different.
Yeah.
I see all of the colors and everything.
Yep. And what you're really doing, Joe, is you're magnifying it. So there's 2 ways you can magnify things. You can bring it closer, or you can make it bigger. So what you would be doing by moving closer is bringing it closer and making it appear larger. It's just a natural way of magnifying things, like the television. Okay?
Okay. So
Try to bring it closer. try getting closer and see how it goes.
Okay, but if I sit 4 or 5 feet away, there's nothing that I can.
Well, there are telescopes that you can use. Yes, yes, and you could get those through because you're here. You can get them through Dr. Freeman. Other people would have to look in their area to see where there's a low vision specialist. Okay. Any other questions?
I have.
Okay.
SCBA has a question.
Okay.
After they go to a low vision clinic and a rehab therapist evaluates them, then how do they get the equipment? Is it written as a script? Does their insurance pay for it, or do you just lend it out? How does that work?
That's a great question. Most insurances do not pay for it. Do not pay for the devices. They do because they do not consider them medical hardy. Sorry, let me try that again. Hardy medical supplies. So they do not cover it. That is why they get referred to a lot of people get referred to BBS to see what they can do to help. Or we get a lot of people in from the VA also. And a lot of people are okay with paying for something. It's an investment, no matter who's paying for it, whether it be the state or the federal government or yourself. It's an investment. So it's an investment into your independence. It's an investment into what you want to be able to do. So just like somebody who's not visually impaired, would buy a car or something because they want to be able to drive, you would be investing into a device to make you be able to read or do the tasks you want to do. So the answer is no, insurance does not cover it. Usually there's a couple out there that might cover a little bit of it, but there's only a couple. And a lot of times they go through blindness and visual services or through other sources.
Can I ask you what the range of prices might be for the equipment?
The range of prices goes from a couple hundred to a few thousand. So like the pair of glasses that I have here, they're just a strong reading lens. The particular pair I have is probably about $300 for the pair of glasses that I have here for display. And it will go all the way up to the large CCTVs, which are about $3,000. Along with like the document readers are $3,000. So it just really depends on the person's goals. Now we don't really, because I work in the clinic, when I know the prices of things, but I don't even put the prices into consideration. I just really go off of what their goals are.
Jen, we have a question here at CBBI.
Okay.
The lamp stands. Are those halogen lights?
They are OT lights, and they are probably they're called what they are called are full spectrum bulbs. Full spectrum bulbs are a little better to do reading with than like incandescent lighting, because incandescent lighting causes glare on the page at different points depending on where it's located and where it's directed. With the OT lights and the full spectrum bulbs, it creates more of a natural lighting, so it doesn't create that glare on the page. It allows you to have more of a sunlight light. So you can actually get OT lights anywhere. They have them at craft stores and at Walmart and different retail stores all over the place.
How do you spell that?
OT is OTT.
Okay.
I was just wondering because I'm thinking about getting one for my living room because I like to read while sitting and watching TV. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, that was a really good question because not a lot of people know. So that was a really fabulous question, actually.
Jen, really expensive?
Are they expensive, Jen?
Are they expensive? It depends on where you get them. I got the ones that I got at Joann Fabrics. They were on sale when I got them, so they weren't too expensive. But they range from probably, I would say probably the cheapest I've ever seen one is about $60, and they can range up from there.
Jen.
Who said Jen?
Thank you so much.
Jen?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's Elaine at PAB.
Hi.
One of the suggestions that I would make is that look in the Sunday paper. Michael's carries them, and almost in every Sunday paper they have a coupon for 40% off a single item. So, and they sell lights. The other thing that Arletta informed me of, and I went and bought some just a couple of weeks ago, is that OttLight is also manufacturing Edison bulbs now. So you can go in and buy an OttLight bulb and put it in your regular lamp if spending $60 for an OttLight is out of your price range. You can buy the light itself for probably $20 or under.
Yeah, that was a great idea. That's a
I
great
thought
suggestion.
she was saying hot light. It's hot light.
Crawford County has a question.
Okay, what's your question, Crawford County?
The Pinterest, or however you say that.
Pinfriend.
Pinfriend. Okay, this is Brenda. Anyways, I wanted to know, it can read medicine bottles, right? Like the prescription, like what your prescription, like if you do a label with that, it would read like what your prescriptions were. Is that correct?
You actually have to record them. So the thing with the Pinfriend is that you have to know what you're recording for. So if
I would say it.
What was that?
So I would say, like, okay, if it was Lamictal,
yeah,
100 milligrams, then I would say that on the device, and then it would print it.
Yeah, there's stickers that come with it, Brenda. There are stickers that come with it, and there's a microchip in the stickers. So what you would do is you would take the Pinfriend, you would touch it to the sticker, and you would actually record the name of the medication and how often you had to take it, or the milligram use, or whatever you wanted on there. You would record it, and then the next time you went and touched it, it would always say the same thing unless you recorded over it.
Okay, the other thing is you couldn't use it like to read a recipe, like a book for a recipe or anything like that.
No.
I wouldn't imagine so, because there's only so much time that it uses, but I don't think I've ever tried it, so I can't tell you that for a fact. But we could work on that at some point, Brenda, if you need it.
Okay, I just wondered what it was basically for.
Okay.
Now, can you get like mobility devices for like GPS, like the trackers and stuff like that through the clinic?
Well, we're not mobility specialists, so we don't really know about the mobility devices. So what we would do is we would probably refer you to an O&M specialist, because that is really their expertise of, you know, what would be best for certain situations. It would just depend on, you know, where you live and things like that. So I am by no means an O&M specialist, so I would not even try to recommend a GPS or anything like that, because I don't know the first thing about them.
I have a question. In the Sharon office, the O&M instructors, would they be able to help a person with, say, blind square on a cell phone?
I could write it down, and I could talk to the O&M specialist, but I'm not even sure what blind square is. So, but that's a really great question. I can write it down though.
Well, it's a GPS that goes on your iPhone.
Okay. It's on the iPhone.
That's probably more assistive technology.
Yeah. I would assume that it would either go to assistive technology, or access technology, or O&M. So we could write it down, and we could get you to the right person for the referral.
That was Richard Burton.
Okay. Oh, I know who it was. Thank you.
She knew your voice, Richard.
Thank you.
Okay. Did anyone else have any questions?
Jen, I came in a little late, but is this something that you...
No, that's just the telephone that's on there for our conference. Okay. Anything else? Did you like to say anything?
Going for GPS.
No, I never have.
Jen,
Yes.
Second electronic device, larger CCTV, is that what they're actually called?
This?
Television system, or is there
This?
another name for those? Yes.
Are you talking about this one?
Yes.
That is called the Acrobat. And the Acrobat
What's
is
the name brand though? Is there
the name of it is called the Acrobat. I don't know. The name of it is Acrobat. It's made by Enhanced Vision Systems. So the name of the device itself is called the Acrobat. So
I was just wondering, like, we call the closed circuit.
we just call it a
television
reading
system,
machine.
We call electro.
We just call it a reading machine. So that's how we refer to it. It's just a reading machine. It's just another version of a CCTV. So.
Well, with the added feature, you can do distance. That's terrific.
Yeah, and a lot of people like that feature of being able to do the distance.
Watch your children out in the backyard or something like that with your like a
Yeah.
TV because
Yeah.
just
we were really sexist about it, and we said, oh, women could do their makeup and their hair and things, until a guy came in and said, well, I could trim my beard. Well, why didn't we think about that? So.
Crawford County again.
Okay.
I just wanted to make a statement. I tried your iPal Ace, and I wanted to tell other people out there that are blind that they need to try it because it's a very awesome device.
Yes, it is. It's called the iPal Ace. That's the document reader. The document reader is what she is referring to. And she is totally blind, so she doesn't use the screen or anything, but she's able to go through the documents and things that she needs to go through to be able to do her bills and mail and things like that. Anything printed, she's able to now have access to, whereas before she didn't have access to that. And she had to wait for somebody to come and read everything to her.
We should mention I think it's called the iBill reader.
Oh, yeah, we will mention it. Yeah.
Okay.
Also, speaking of readers, Anne brought up a good point to mention the iBill reader. There's a program, it's a federal program, that will allow anyone who's visually impaired to be able to get what they call the iBill. It's a currency reader. It's free for anyone who's visually impaired. So I would definitely suggest, if you're interested in getting that, to get a hold of somebody at one of the PABs, and they might be able to help you fill out that form. Anyone that needs help figuring that out, if you're part of the PAB and you need the information, we have the information here, and we can get that to you also.
We only have to call the Carnegie. That's changed.
Before it was that you called the Carnegie Library and it kind of went through that, but now it's through the Bureau of Engraving. So it's a different form. You have to fill it out and send it in to them instead of through Carnegie. So as of like January 2nd or something like that, it changed than what it was the month before that.
Do you still have to be registered with the libraries?
You do not have to be registered through the Carnegie Library or through the National Library Services for the Blind and Physically Handicapped. You don't have to be registered, but you do have to have somebody fill out that you are visually impaired, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so, and anyone that is part of the organization should be able to.
Can you use any library?
No.
No?
Faith has one of these devices. So Faith, how do you use that?
It's just like a little rectangle thing that you can hook on a keychain. You stick your bill in the corner of it, and as long as the setting's right, it'll talk to you. It'll beep if you have it on that setting, or it'll vibrate.
And so it will tell you whether it's a $1 bill, a $5 bill, a $10 bill.
20, 50, or 100.
And the nice thing is that with the vibrate and the beeps, nobody really knows what you have there, so.
Yeah, you just have to, it'll send you a CD and a paper, and it'll give you instructions and tell you what the vibrations are.
Yep. So, okay. Any questions on that? Joe?
Good job, Jen.
Now, could we go through Keystone Blind? Will they fill out the applications?
Yes, we will fill out the applications for you. So I'm assuming that any of the PABs would do it for you, but Keystone will definitely do it for you, and we have those applications available. All you have to do is call KBA, and somebody from either the rehab department or specialized services can fill out the form.
Thank you.
Joe?
Jen, the CCT, is that the standard size? Do we have it large? Walking for that?
Actually, this is one that's no longer made. So this screen size is no longer made. It's the same model. It's just that the screen size is a little smaller. This is a 17-inch screen. The new ones have 19, 22, or 24-inch screens. So the screens are a little larger, a little wider, to provide you with more space to be able to read with. Anyone else? Anything at all? Okay. Well, thank you everyone for participating.
One thing.
Oh.
How would you go about if you thought you needed to have an evaluation in your residence?
In your home?
Yeah.
You would call and we would make the referral. We would, somebody would come out and do the evaluation. Can't promise who it will be, but somebody will come out and do the evaluation. At least for our organization. Okay? There's no other questions, I just want to say thank you for participating in the life skills class. I hope it was informative. And just remember, low vision is important because it helps you continue to be independent, just like anything here might. And that's part of our mission, is to keep people independent.
And this session was recorded.
It was recorded?
Yes, in case somebody.
Fantastic.
Like it.
If anyone needs the session, it was recorded. So if you need it in the future or whatever, you can come back to it. And you can contact Kevin Bly at Keystone Blind Association for that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Everyone does good. Nice job.
Thank you. Great job.